Hello, 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 and welcome to another episode of Contemporary Living with Farmer and Hill. Do you realize, Andre, this is episode 4?
Yes, man, time sure does fly. So we've been enjoying ourselves, been doing a lot of recording, and also we just finished up a teen summit last week in Kankakee.
Yes, that we had a really great time doing that. And so what we're going to do with this episode 4, we just first off, of course, want to thank you for tuning in, taking time out of your day to join us, and we hope that you enjoy the show.
Absolutely. So we're going to get right into it because we got a lot of good information for you guys today.
All right. So we're going to start with Farmer's question of the day. But before we do, we want to go into question of the day flashbacks, because we've been asking you, we've been posting these questions and you've been answering. So we want to go ahead and provide, the audience with some of the responses in hopes that you'll start answering some of those questions too. So we're going to go through question of the day 1, 2, and 3 from all of our episodes, and we'll be all caught up. So let's start with question of the day number 1.
Yeah, so question of the day number 1 was, have you figured out what to do with your life yet? And we got a response from Reginald Davenport from Chicago. And his comments, Melissa, was, I had always known what I wanted to do with my life, but never really emphasized it until recently. In short, I am a creative artist, and that is what I will continue to do with my life. When I was younger, I had an active imagination and would create TV shows, movies, and short stories. At one point, I did stick figure cartoons. I would also build things with Lego blocks. At the moment, I am working on a special book project. My mind is always active and thinking ahead of what I can do next and how I can provide entertainment. Also, he also mentioned and said, and speaking of entertainment, I am also a DJ. A few years ago, I started writing album reviews as an Amazon.com customer and got up to 75 reviews. So that's what Reginald said. We also had a Sharon Jackson also made a comment also, Melissa, on social media. She responded on Facebook. And Miss Jackson said, absolutely, life's not always peaches and cream, but we can position ourselves to live life more abundantly. First, with financial stability, fulfilling careers, and great family and friends, I'm ready to change my career and possibly a new state to reside. So we appreciate Reginald and Sharon for taking time out to answer those questions.
Absolutely. Sounds like people out there, they have figured out what they want to do with their life, and they're actually being actively engaged in it. Yes. So now we want to go to our question of the day number 2, which was, how do you define success? So we did have some responses, and we want to thank you for those responses. We had a response from Sarah Kubicki from Washington, D.C., and she said, you are successful when you have found your purpose, your passion that drives you to get up in the morning, to strive for more. When you have found the one thing that fulfills you and leaves you content at the end of the day. So wow, that's pretty powerful right there.
That's real good.
And we also have Kim Humer, who is my BFF from Atlanta, Georgia.
What's up, Kim?
And she says success is when you have flourished in your purpose. You are motivated to do what you must do to keep your dream going, and you can tell, share, and advise others what they may want to accomplish as well. Then she goes on to say, it's the long haul that has turned into long-lasting work that you have desired to be all that you are and more. And then she says, great question, keep them coming. And we will, Kim.
All right, we appreciate that one. And the next one says, how do you overcome your own negativity? That was question 3 we had from our flashback. And Dolores Hill, that's my cousin's wife out of St. Louis. And she got personal with her, so I'm going to read it to you guys, and I hope you like it. But she's from St. Louis, and she wrote, in all honesty, I now just tell myself that it could be worse. Sometimes I tell myself that certain things are not worth even putting my mind through. Gradually, over time, I learned to adjust myself in certain situations and conversations in order to consider those who are sensitive. However, I do have my moments in which I deplore against certain circumstances among my surroundings. Often enough, my husband has to set a reminder, giving her eye contact, and remind me to lend a listening ear instead of offering my opinions. LOL. Most of how I handle negative situation now is to avoid those who are negative or just not allow that individual to dictate how my day will end. on with the next day, and hopefully it'll get better. It'll get better. Life is really too short to worry yourself off of irrelevant stuff. At one point in my life, I couldn't let go of many things that continue to replay in the back of my mind. How would I have approached those things differently was eating me up inside. Even if the event happened when I was a kid. Recently, a year ago to be exact, I finally learned how to push those negative moments aside in the back of my head. Even today, when they pop right back into my head, I'm still pushing them aside with a reminder that I don't want to keep dwelling over this stuff anymore.
Wow, that's a true testimony.
Yes, Cousin D got very personal with that there. Althea Williamson from Chicago, and she wrote, I just remember some of the words my grandmother said. One ain't forever and twice ain't for always. I believe God for his word, and when I get negative thoughts, I just pray and ask God to remove them. I also have a team of people. We encourage one another. And then last but not least, this is my cousin's wife, Sandra Hill from Matson, Illinois. And she was plain and simple with her answer, but it was powerful, I think. She said, I work around cancer patients, and I see their struggle every day. Makes me grateful for my family's health.
So that's awesome
Yes.
to just, if you're around cancer patients every day, I can't even imagine what you would have to go through. So that keeps her positive. So I think that was good. Thanks.
Yeah,
Sandra.
so we appreciate everybody for taking time out to answer Farmer Question of the Day.
So now we're going to get into our question of the day for this episode, and that's QOTD number 4. And the question is traditional education still relevant in today's society? So tell me, what do you think, Andre?
And define traditional education for our viewers.
Okay, so traditional education is like the 4-year universities and the bachelor's degrees, the master's degrees, the doctorates.
Yes.
So tell us, is traditional education still relevant in today's society?
Well, I believe it depends what you're going for. Of course, if you're going to be a doctor or a lawyer, you're going to need that 4-year degree. You got trade schools. You can think of that there. And honestly, you have people out there that's successful that has no form of education. I think about people like Thomas Jefferson and Henry Ford that had meager education. They didn't have much education at all, but we see they work today. So I guess it's based on the individual, and I guess it's all boils down to the time and effort you put in to becoming successful.
And I would have to agree with you because, really today to make a living, truly a traditional education is not needed. You can still make a living without having the traditional education. And then there are a lot of people that aren't even working in the field of their study. And then the one thing I like when you mentioned about trade schools is that, guess what? College is not for everyone.
Absolutely.
So, it's good to have a trade school that can provide a better option for that individual. But then on the other hand, like you said, if you want to get into government, if you want to get into professional work, you need to be credentialized because we do live in a credentialized society. Don't, make no bones about that. That's the type of society that we live in. So you'll need to have those credentials in order to move through the ranks in those types of fields. And then also college can provide you with some soft skills that, we don't really necessarily think about. And that's collaboration, problem solving, time management, because once you go off to college, you're kind of on your own. It gives you interpersonal skills. And then, and that's all done in a learning environment. So it's not trial by fire. You're in that learning environment. So college definitely has its benefits. I would encourage anyone who wants to go. I wouldn't say take loans, take a lot of loans to get your college degree. But once you decide what your purpose is, which we've talked about, then maybe that can help you decide whether you need to go to a traditional college or whether a trade school or maybe a career in sales may be best for you. So we want to hear from you. Is traditional education still relevant in today's society? So we want you to respond to us via this box below, or you can always email us with your responses at farmerandhill@gmail.com. We can't wait to hear what you have to say.
Absolutely. And I always tell people, just pursue your dreams and your goals. Do what you like to do. And if you want to be a happy person in life and you want to enjoy life, just pursue what you're out there, what you want to do in life, and you'll be a very happy individual. Absolutely. All right, we're going to move on. Upcoming, we're going to have Melissa give us some knowledge and education on health and wellness. Miss Melissa, it's on you.
All right, so we're gonna talk about a very serious topic today. So I'm gonna ask you a question, Andre.
Yes.
How well do you sleep?
I sleep pretty good.
Well,
I think anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen you sleep before, and I think you sleep right. And that's because I think he sleeps well because I'm a sleep coach. So we just basically really can go in, we can assess your environment, we can give you tips on how to get better sleep, and we can, just look at your day and see how you operate and function during the day to see how that impacts your sleep. But did you know that 1 in 3 adults don't get enough sleep?
Wow. That's a lot.
And then the other thing is a lack of sleep does impact your health. It increases your appetite. If you're up really late, you notice how you always get hungry, even if it's hunger in the mind. It's not really hunger in the stomach. And so you're snacking and you're eating, and especially you tend to gravitate towards sweets the later you stay up. And then it impacts skin aging, because you're not getting enough rest, so your skin is not being replenished as it should be. It also can cause depression because the body needs to be replenished, and we want to make sure that we're doing that. And it shortens your attention span. If you're trying to operate 12 hours off of 4 hours of sleep, it's really, really hard to do, and it's really, really hard to focus and pay attention to things. And then it also weakens the immune system. Your body needs rest. Don't let anyone tell you that your body does not need rest, because it absolutely does. And then what I want to let you know is adults should average about 7 to 9 hours of sleep, give or take, a night to get a full night's rest. They actually should. And then there are 2 types of sleep deprivation. So you've got acute. So maybe every couple of months you may not be able to go to sleep, and that's fine. That's normal. It's nothing to be alarmed about. But when you have chronic sleep deprivation, and what that is for 2 weeks straight, you're only sleeping 3 hours or 4 hours, then it may be something deeper than just I can't sleep. And that's when you should definitely seek some medical attention, because there could be something more to it. So what I'm going to provide you today comes from WebMD.com, and it's titled Good Sleep Hygiene Practices. So this is for you and to try to help you get good sleep habits. So we'll start with the first one. Power down that cell phone, that laptop, that tablet, that television. Turn it all off. Keep it away from you. You need to power down because your body needs rest. You don't want your phone going off in the middle of the night, and then guess what? It's not an emergency. It's a Facebook post or something like that. So what you want to do is power down as much as you can. Okay? Nix the naps. Now, if you do need to take a nap, you need to take it earlier in the day, because that's going to affect your sleep cycle the later you sleep. And your nap shouldn't be longer than, I would say, 30 minutes. It really needs to be a really quick nap. All right? So block your clock. You ever notice when you turn off all the lights in your room, and then you have this clock, and then the red or the blue light is just really loud. So what you want to do is block your clock. You don't even want to see that. You don't want to see it because what happens is if you look at your clock then, that now you're worried about, oh, it's 2 o'clock and I can't go to sleep. So what you want to do is block your clock. So those number 4 is try leg pillow for back pain, because sometimes you might have back pain and it could be affecting your sleep cycle. So if you try putting a pillow between your legs, that may help you at night. And then get the right size pillow. That's very important, because you don't want to have your neck, you don't want to have cramps in your neck and things like that, or it could be too soft or too hard. So you want to test pillows out to get the right size pillow. So seal your mattress. And this is a good one, because those of you with allergies and things like that, that could stop your sleep cycle at night, because now, your nose is clogged and things like that. So you want to seal your mattress with some type of dust cover or something to cover your mattress entirely. All right. So they say, number 7, there should be 2 things that you do in your bedroom. That is sleep and that is sex. Those are the only 2 things that you should be doing that you should save your bed for that.
That's a winner.
All right. So the next is set your body clock. So what that means is you want to go to sleep at the same time every day to include the weekends. That way your body is used to powering down at a particular time. And then you want to avoid caffeine because caffeine gives you energy. It boosts you up. So that's opposite of what you want to do. So the next one is work out wisely. And why you want to work out wisely is the simple fact that if you exercise, it's going to give you energy. So you want to hold off at least 2 or 3 hours before going to bed, and don't exercise after those hours, because you'll have energy and it'll mess up your sleep cycle. Okay. All right. The next thing we want to do is eat right at night. Don't eat things that are heavy for you. You want to eat something light. Have a really light snack like a vegetable or something like that. But you want to choose wisely, especially when it comes to eating at night. You don't want food on your stomach, trying to go to sleep with the food on your stomach. And then rethink your drink. Everyone loves a nightcap. Well, most people I know love a nightcap. But what happens is the nightcap that you take before bed, it may get you to sleep, but it doesn't keep you sleeping. That actually cuts your sleep cycle off, especially when you get into the wee hours of the night, because it wears off. So what you want to do is rethink your drink. Try water, try some chamomile tea, something like that. That's really good for you. And then you want to watch what time you sip. You don't want to start drinking all of these things right before you go to bed, because that's going to mess up your sleep cycle, because now you got to get up, go to the bathroom. You may have to turn on a light, perhaps. But then the next one following that says lower the lights. So it's good to have night lights around you, especially in the bathroom and things like that. And then hush noise. Now, this is something that I enjoy doing. So hush noise is really like, you can buy alarm clocks that have the white noise. It has thunderstorms. It has different tranquil sounding, constant music playing that helps you unwind and relax. And then the next one, we want to turn down tobacco. Tobacco is a stimulant, just like caffeine. So you want to wait a couple of hours before you go to bed if you do smoke. I say quit it altogether, but that's my personal opinion. Okay. Then don't forget, beds are for people. What I mean by that, don't have your dog, don't have your cat in the bed, because guess what? They don't have to get up and go to work. They can get up at 1, then they can get up an hour later, and then that's going to mess up your sleep cycle, because they're in and out of bed with you, and now you have to adjust to them getting in and out of the bed. So make sure the beds are for people. You can get your pet their own bed if they like, but you want to keep them out of your bed. Then free your mind. Lots of times, we want to think about everything that happened during the day. We want to, that could start worrying us, thinking about tomorrow. But this is the time to relax. Free your mind. What you want to do is take a nice hot bath before you go to bed. Try to read a book that, is encouraging or something like that. People do meditation. We've gone over this deep breathing techniques, so you could try those. But what you want to do is really free your mind to prepare you for a good night's rest, so you can experience all of the sleep cycles that are involved in sleeping. And then use caution with sleeping pills. Sometimes they can be addictive. So you want to watch out for when you use sleeping pills. You want to make sure that you're not using them every day, maybe every now and again, but you should not be using sleeping pills on a regular basis. And then, like I said, we talked about the acute and the chronic sleep deprivation. You want to make sure to know when to see your doctor. This is very important, that you got to know when to see your doctor, because we want you sleeping well. I want you sleeping well, especially as a sleep coach. I want everybody having a good night's rest. So those are some good sleep hygiene practices that everyone can take tidbits from, and hopefully you'll get a good night's sleep.
Wow, that was some excellent information. I definitely like number 7. I learned that from Dr. Oz.
Okay.
Yeah. So, yeah, very, very excellent segment there on sleep.
You.
Appreciate that. Mm-hmm. All right. So, upcoming next, we have leasing, and what I like to call leasing 101. Know your rights. Okay, it is illegal for anyone to act as a broker, managing broker, or leasing agent without a real estate license issued by IDFPR, which means Illinois Department of Financial and Professional Regulation. Any individual or entity who performs any of the following services, either directly or indirectly, whether in or through any media or technology for another and for compensation, must have a real estate license. Okay? So, examples of illegal activities that owners and tenants should be aware of. And I'm going to break it down to you guys in just a minute. All right. Number one, it's like 11 of these, but what I did was brought out the top 3 that I felt was very important. Okay. Number one, any person who advertised or represent herself as being engaged in the business of buying, selling, exchanging, renting, or leasing real estate needs a license. Number 2, any person that supervised the collection, offer, attempt, or agreement to collect rent for the use of real estate has to be licensed. Number 3, any person who sells, exchange, purchase, rents, or lease real estate must be licensed. So pretty much what it's saying, say for instance, Melissa is a person and she's what she calls.
I am a person.
I call her right. She's a managing broker.
I'm a live human being, people.
Say she is an individual that's renting property, and say Melissa is renting 20 properties, and each property has its own separate owner. Okay, by law, Melissa has to have a license in order to rent those properties out. Why? Because they're not hers. So if she's collecting rent, if she's doing any type of evictions, if she's doing anything like that, signing any lease agreements and things like that, Melissa has to have a managing broker's license. Now, example number 2, say Melissa owned 20 properties that she was managing. All of the properties were hers. By law, by all 20 properties being hers, by law, she does not have to have a broker's license because all the properties are hers. But if she's managing other people's property, she does have to have a managing broker's license. Okay? And this is very important. So also, we need to understand, say for instance, that I lived in Melissa's building. Okay? And she was the owner. And she said, Andre, I need you to manage the 20 apartments inside this building. Okay, the only way I can manage her properties is I have to stay in that building. That's the only exception I have without have to have a license because I'm in that building.
Right.
It's her properties, and as a property manager, I'm not going anywhere outside that there. So understand those 3 examples. We're going to move on. How to protect yourself, your assets, and find out if the company managing your property has a business license. Okay? Once again, how to protect yourself, your assets, and find out if the company managing your property has a business license. It's very simple. You can go to a website called www.idfpr.com, and you can find out if the company that's managing your property has a business license. When you go to the tab, when you go to that website, you're going to see what they call real estate on the far right. You'll click on the real estate tab, and it's going to take you to a page, and the page is going to have license lookup. So with that license lookup tab, what you can do is type in the name of the company. You could type in their address or anything, or the person's name, and you can find out if they have a license.
Oh, wow. So you can look my name up?
I can look your name up free. Yep, I can go to the site and look your name up and find out if you're legit.
I'm legit.
Yeah. So y'all want to find out if Melissa legit, then go to this website here. But seriously, this is very important because we have a lot of people out there that's managing people's properties. They're taking people's security deposits. They're taking people application fees.
Right.
And they're doing a lot of stuff that's illegal, and people don't know their rights. So that's why I always name this segment Know Your Rights, because unfortunately you have people out there that's imposters, I like to call them. They out there acting like they're managing brokers and they're not. And this protects owners and it protects tenants. So it's a lot of fraudulent stuff going on out there, and believe me, people don't have money to give away, and people don't have hundreds and thousands of dollars just to give to people or give money to application fees, which money they don't have. So you got to be careful of scams out there because you have people out there that's scamming.
So don't be bamboozled and don't be hoodwinked, right?
Absolutely,
right.
Absolutely. Also, if you want to file a complaint, you can file a complaint with the state of Illinois free. You can go to the same website, and then if you go to the very bottom, it'll have what you will see is real estate. It's called File a Complaint. Okay, you can click on the file a complaint. You'll have a form that pops up that's like this here, and then you can, file your complaint with the state, and they'll begin to investigate and make sure that you're not, that you're properly compensated, especially if you done lost money and things like that. You can also email them at www.fpr.recomplaint@illinois.gov. All right, penalties and fines. Let's talk about penalties and fines.
Let's do that.
All right, now the state fines these people as operating illegally and just doing anything they want to do. The civil penalty for any persons operating unlicensed is subject to a civil fine up to $25,000 for each offense, in addition to any other penalties provided by the law. The civil penalty is assessed by and payable to IDFPR after a disciplinary hearing. The civil penalty must be paid within 60 days after the effective date of order. Just to let you know, IDFPR has the authority to investigate any and all unlicensed activity.
And so now we're going to get into the spirituality segment for contemporary living with Farmer and Hill.
Absolutely. Now, y'all know this is one of my favorite segments, spirituality. Once again, we have fed you with finances and health and fitness and all that great stuff and travel. But at the end of the day, we're always worried about salvation and what about our souls, all right? And so we know the Bible tells us in 2 Timothy 2:15, study to show thyself approved unto God, a workman that needed not to be ashamed, but rightfully dividing the word of truth. And each time we air our show, we want to make sure that we bring you some spiritual truth, okay? So today we want to talk about prayer. And I'm talking about briefly about prayer. What is prayer? And prayer is simply speaking to God. That's what prayer is. Prayer is more than just asking God for things or petitioning God for items. We pray because out of adoration. We pray because we're grateful. We pray because we're thankful. We pray because we confessing our issues and faults with God. Not only that, for supplication. And supplication means that when we pray to God, we come to God humbly, and asking God, and we seeking God, and we just thank God for all the things that He has done for us. So understanding what prayer is simply talking to God. Now, where can you pray? A lot of people say, well, Andre, where can I pray? Well, you can pray anywhere. You can get down on your knees and pray at your bed. You can pray in the bathroom, on your job, driving your car, at the beach, exercising, wherever you feel you need to pray, you pray, okay? Now, you want to always plug into the source, and your source is prayer. For prayer is the key that unlocks all doors.
Yes.
For I like how Hebrews 4:16 says, let us therefore come boldly to the throne of grace, that we may obtain mercy and find grace to help in the time of need. Romans chapter 8, verse 26 through 27, the Apostle Paul is speaking to us, and he says, likewise, the Spirit also helps us in our weakness. For we do not know what we should pray for as we ought, but the Spirit himself makes intercession for us with groanings which cannot be uttered. Verse 27 reads, now he who searches the hearts knows the mind of the Spirit is, because he make an intercession for the saints according to the will of God. So when we pray, sometimes we don't know what to pray. But we have a spirit in us that knows the mind of God. And that spirit in us, what he does is when we pray, he goes to the Most High God and petition before us. That's why I say he makes intercession. Now the word intercession means action of intervening or pleading on behalf of another. Now understanding this here, God may not answer the way we want him to answer. Okay, but he's going to answer. Or sometimes he may answer the way we ask God to answer. And we got to understand that even if God does not answer, that God's grace is sufficient. For when we read about the Apostle Paul, and the Bible tells us how he went to God 3 times because of the infirmities he had. And as we look at my definition at the bottom, it said infirmities mean physical or mental weakness. So apparently Paul had some issue. Paul had some things going on within him. But even if God does not answer, God tells Paul one thing: Paul, my grace is sufficient. So understanding God's grace is sufficient if he doesn't answer. And I want to talk about even prayer and faith. See, you can pray all you want to, and you can have faith all you want to, but you got to have some actions with your prayer. Okay? Just asking God we got to get God something to work with, Melissa.
I agree.
So we can't say, well, God, I want a house, I want a car, I've been given to this organization, been given to that organization. What have you given God to work with? Have you went out and got your business license? Have you went out and got the degree that you needed? Have you saved up money to start the business? So we can pray all we want to, and we can have all the faith that we want to, which is good. But we have to give some type of action. So understanding that faith without works is dead. So I always tell people, you show me your faith and I'll show you my faith by my works. So what are you doing to attain what you want? And I like in Daniel, as I get ready to close out, Daniel chapter 6, verse 10. And it reads, now when Daniel knew that the writing was signed, he went into his house, and his windows being open in his chamber toward Jerusalem. He kneeled upon his knees 3 times a day and prayed and gave thanks before his God as he did aforetime. So understanding that Daniel prayed 3 times a day. But not only that, it was in his DNA. It was in his makeup. Daniel didn't just do it because of the situation that he was in. Daniel was consistent prayer. He prayed, it says, aforetime. So he was always praying. And I always tell people, in your prayer, you need to be proactive. Most times we want to pray when trouble comes. Most times we want to pray when hardship comes. But are we proactive with our prayers? Are we praying daily when everything's going good? Are we praying daily when everything is going the way we want to? So understanding, be proactive in your prayer, and understanding that despite what you're going through, if God answers or he don't answer, that's God's grace is sufficient. Okay, so that's what I want to talk about. I want to lead you with when it comes to prayer. Any words, Melissa?
I just want to say 3 things I really took from that. First is, I used to think that there was only one way to pray, that was on your knees at night and in the morning. But now I know that I can pray anywhere at any time. God is readily available to me. And so that is a good thing to know. And then the second thing is, I am so grateful that I have an intercessor that can intercede for me. Because, sometimes in hindsight, you're like, did I really ask for that? So I'm glad that there's an intercessor that can speak when I really don't know what I'm talking about.
Right.
And then third is giving God something to work with. You just can't pray and just sit on your laurels and wait for the doorbell to ring. Absolutely. Or wait for, your ship to come in. You got to give God something to work with. It's like the talents. I know there's a story in the Bible about the talent.
Absolutely.
You have to do something with what you have, and then you'll see God will give you the increase. And if that doesn't happen, we understand that God's grace is sufficient. So I think those are some powerful words, and those are some things I took away from it. So I really thank you for that.
All right. So we appreciate everybody from tuning in with Contemporary Living with Farmer and Hill. We just thank everybody. Continue to tune into our show, and as always, we thank God for his grace, and we ask that you go out into your communities and be a blessing to somebody. Until next time, have a blessed day.
Bye-bye.
Teenage on the track.